I'm going to say it. Boater safety courses, most of them, well, they're a joke. Now, how can I say that? I'm a U.S. Coast Guard licensed captain. I've got a YouTube channel here with millions and millions of views. I've created courses, the total boat control system, docking mastery, practical boater safety, rough water and open water operation, trailer like a pro, tow water sports with confidence, confident coastal boater, and others. And I'm a big proponent of safe and smart, educated, skilled boating. Here's the problem, is my youngest daughter completed her boater's safety course. She has her boater safety card and has fulfilled the requirements by the state of South Carolina where I'm at. She's taken the same test that everybody needs to take to get their boater safety card. That's not necessarily a problem that an 11-year-old can pass the test. The problem is the information that she had to learn. There's a bunch of companies out there that do these boater safety courses. Many of them are owned by a Canadian company, Calcomi, Boater's Ed, Boater Exam, Nautic Ed, Ace Boater, Take My Boat Test, Boat Smart. And all of these programs are NASBA approved. So National Association of Safe Boating. But here's where the problem comes in, is these are government sanctioned programs where to get your program approved, and I've looked into it to try to get some of my programs approved by NASBA. The problem is each state has their own requirements of what need to be taught based on what the legislature, what the government feels is valuable. Now, because it needs to be tested and they don't have the ability to go out in the water and test people, here's what the course turns out to be, especially the online ones. One is you just have to have a certain amount of seat time learning. Okay, so it's timed. If you don't have the time, you don't qualify to take the test. Next is it's very definition based. So here's the problem with definition based training is I can know all the definitions of port and starboard and get the concept of navigation buoys and get the concepts of the book knowledge. They're not real world based. So that's why when you go to the boat ramp, you see crazy things. I was down in Florida just this past weekend and saw some craziness at the boat ramp. People that don't know how to back their trailers, yelling and screaming, drinking, and just all sorts of wild stuff that is out of control. Boat docking. You see people at the dock and at the restaurants and just have zero understanding of how to control their boat. Now, these are things that just aren't covered because it's an online learning program that's like you would teach an HR, social skills program, or how you would teach something in a corporate setting, because that's how most places think of training. The reality is boating is a very tangible, hands-on thing. You have to know how to back the trailer. You have to know how to maneuver, and to have somebody that can actually teach you those things. It's that difference between book knowledge and real world practical experience. It's one of the reasons why when we do our training, all of these programs that I showed you here, it's not just, hey, what's the definition of port? It's better than nothing to have that boater safety course under your belt. But the reality is we're becoming a good, competent boat operator is knowing how your boat handles, knowing how to handle your boat in different situations, knowing that port is the left side of the boat. It's not super valuable, but knowing when you go out on the water that you have total control of your boat, and you know the rules of the road, and you know what to do in traffic, and you know how to tie your boat up, and you know the systems of your boat, and you know to run your blower before you start it, and you know how to operate in rough and choppy water, and you know how to use a VHF radio and safety concerns, and you know all of the doing of actually getting on the water and doing the thing because you've actually seen it. It's been explained to you. It doesn't have to be on your boat. We've had over 2,000 people go through our programs and showed them how to do things. And it's like I'm on the boat with them the way I do my training programs. And that's why it gets such great results. And people go from never having operated a boat to having total control, to understanding the different dangers, to having respect for the water and your fellow boaters and having etiquette. Now, I'm not saying that all of the boater safety courses are garbage. I like the ones, at least the ones that are in person, they give you a little bit more real world feel. They still have to cover the things that the state has said. You've got to spend 20 minutes on this topic and 15 minutes on this topic and 7 minutes on this topic. And they go through it all and they spend time talking about different categories of PDFs, personal flotation devices. They spend time on different types of anchor versus how do you use an anchor and get it to set. That to me is much more valuable than knowing the difference between a fluke style anchor and a delta style anchor and knowing the type 2 PDFs versus the type 1 PDF. That is book knowledge. I believe, and it's why my boater safety module is called Practical Boater Safety, because it's what do real world pleasure boaters need to know. What gear do you need to have? I don't care about the definitions. You need to have a throwable and you need to have good fitted life vests. And if you need extras on the boat for just to have them, then get the orange over the shoulders. It doesn't matter what type they are. You need to have the one that says U.S. Coast Guard on and that fit well. That's what you need to know. I don't need to spend 5 minutes explaining the differences. That's why I think the boater safety programs are really a joke and they're really doing a disservice. I love the fact that a boater safety program is required. Go get your boater safety card. I have taken the tests from multiple organizations. I've done the Boat US, I've done the Boaters Ed and all of their subsidiaries in multiple states. I've sat through the U.S. Power Squadron when it was called that. I've sat through the U.S. Coast Guard, the Auxiliary Coast Guard version. I've been to several, and each time it is underwhelming the amount of information that is useful to real world pleasure boaters. Better than nothing, but I encourage you to go above better than nothing and really get skilled and confident and enjoy your time on the water. The Boater Bootcamp is totally free. If you go to boaterbootcamp.com, that's going to cover what I would say the equivalent of a boater safety course is, but it's going to be real world stuff. Knowing how your boat operates, knowing the systems of your boat and going through it on different styles of boats. Navigation and rules of boating. A lot of that stuff is in the boater safety course, but I give it to you in a way that a real boater would use it, not just out of a textbook. Emergency avoidance and safety. Again, some of that stuff is going to be in your course through the NASBLA boater safety program, whatever state you're in. But I would love to have you comment on your thoughts on the boater safety courses that you've taken. Were they valuable? Were they not valuable? Which ones did you take? Which ones were good? Which ones were bad? And let me know your thoughts on this take. Remember, life truly is better on a boat, especially when you're confident and skilled and you actually know what you're doing out of the water.